the session and let me check. Any questions, any doubts? Any doubts, guys? When is Yugadi? Today or tomorrow, guys?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, okay. So in the last class, we discussed about creating databases, right? So can anyone tell me the logical architecture of the SQL Server, guys? Can anyone tell me?
So SQL Server, then databases, then schemas, then tables.
Okay, okay. And what is the physical architecture?
So SQL Server databases, then files and file groups, then files,
Okay,
extents, and pages.
okay. File groups. First, file groups. Okay, on file groups, the files will exist. Okay, so in files we'll have extents, and then in extents we'll have pages. Okay,
Pages.
the page size is 8 KB, guys. Each page size is 8 KB. Okay, so page size is very default and very common. Each page size, whether there is any page, any kind of page, okay, so the size of the page is 8 KB, guys. Collection of 8 continuous data pages is called an extent. Collection of 8 continuous data pages. Okay, collection of 8 continuous data pages is called extent. Okay, now tell me, guys, what is the extent size?
64 KB.
So
64.
each page size is 8 KB,
64.
right? Collection of 8 pages is called one extent. So 8 into 8 is 64 KB. Okay, so page is the basic storage unit. Basic storage unit in the SQL Server data file. And extent is the basic 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 allocation unit in the SQL Server. Okay, so page is the basic storage unit, means whenever whatever you're creating, whatever you're storing, okay, whatever data you're storing, this data will be stored at the end of the day. All the data, please mute it. At the end of the day, all the data will be stored, okay, on any page. Okay, so whereas extent is the basic allocation unit, page is basic storage unit, so that we are going to store all the data on a page, guys. Whereas the extent, it's an allocation unit, means SQL Server will allocate an extent. Okay, so in the extents we have two types of extents. One is mixed extent and uniform extent, guys. Uniform extent, mixed extent and uniform extent. Okay, so in each extent 8 pages only will be there. Okay, so what is mixed extent, what is uniform extent, guys? Can anyone tell me by using the name? Okay, how many pages will be there in each extent?
8 pages.
8, right?
Eight pages.
So uniform means all the 8 pages belongs to the same table. Mixed extent means, now can you tell me what is meant by mixed extent?
Different tables.
Correct. Okay, all the 8 pages belongs to multiple tables or different tables. Okay, that is called mixed extent. Okay, so uniform extent and mixed extent. So can anyone tell me, can I share the page, means on a single page can I create multiple tables, guys?
Yes.
The answer is no. Page is not shareable. Okay, page is not shareable. If the table is small or big, you will get a page. If you cannot accommodate the table in a single page, you will get one more page. Okay, if your table is increasing, you are inserting the data, the table size is increasing, you will keep getting pages. Okay, pages means instead of pages, what it will give? It will give extent, means even though you don't want, whenever you are creating a table, SQL Server will give you 64 KB extent, guys. That is your uniform extent. So we have two types of extents, mixed extents and uniform extent. Mixed extent means all the tell me guys, how many tables I can create in a single mixed extent now? How many tables I can create? How many max tables I can create in a mixed extent, in one mixed extent?
8.
Correct. Each page is equal to one table. So 8 pages, 8 tables I can create. Okay, again page is not shareable. You can ask, sir, I'm creating a very small table with a single column, so can I create one more table in the same page? No, that is not possible. Page is not shareable, guys. Okay, even though the table is very small, even though there is enough free space in the page, you cannot create one more table on the page. Once you create the table that is small, it will take that particular whole page. If you are inserting the data, the page is going to the free space in the page is going to consume, and if the 8 KB is completely full, SQL Server will allocate 8 more KB. Like that, if the two pages are full, SQL Server will allocate third page, fourth page, fifth page. If it think the table is very big, SQL Server directly allocate extent, uniform extent. Okay, it will directly allocate uniform extent. Why? Because the table is growing now. So next time, what it is going to do, guys, whenever the table is big, SQL Server will allocate, keep adding extents. That's why extent is called basic allocation unit. Extent is called basic allocation unit. Okay, SQL Server will keep adding the extents, keep adding the extents. If your table size is increasing, you are inserting the data more and more in the table. Okay, so what it will do in the back end, SQL Server will add extents, 64 KB, 64 KB, 64 KB. Each time it will add extents, guys. Okay, so that's why extent is a basic allocation unit, whereas page is a basic. Guys, any issue with my audio? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, it is clear.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Satyam, just check your internet, okay? If voice is not clear, please rejoin again. Okay. Right. So page is not shareable, guys. Even though the table size is too small, you cannot create multiple tables in a single page. One table is equal to one page. Now, how many tables I can create in a uniform extent?
8 pages.
8.
How many tables I can create? How many maximum tables I can create in a single uniform extent?
8 tables.
How many max tables I can create in a single mixed extent?
64.
How many max tables I can create in a single mixed extent?
8 tables.
How many max tables I can create in a single uniform extent?
8.
Both are right. Then what is the difference between uniform extent and mixed extent? Someone said 64 tables. How can we create 64 tables? Someone said 64 tables. How can we create 64 tables? Per page, one table. 8 pages will be there in an extent, 8 tables. It should be maximum 8. So someone said 64 tables, someone said 16 tables. Tell me, guys, what is the difference between uniform and mixed extent? Now tell me, just I'm asking one point. What just now we discussed it, right? The basic difference. So what is the difference between an uniform extent and a mixed extent? Tell me the difference.
Extent is the different table storage.
Correct, very good.
Uniform is the same table storage.
Now how many tables I can create in a single uniform extent? Max tables.
Eight.
One table.
One table.
One table. That's what the meaning of uniform means. All pages are uniform means all 8 pages are allocated to a single table. In a mixed extent, you can create maximum of 8 tables. Why? Because each page is equal to one table minimum. It will consume minimum one page, right, for a table. So if you create each table on a single page, 8 pages, 8 tables you can create. Max 8 tables you can create in a mixed extent, in a single mixed extent. Whereas uniform extent means all 8 pages belongs to a single table. So maximum how many tables we can create in a uniform extent? Only one. Is it clear, guys? Clear? Any issues, any doubts here? Please let me know.
Sir, not clear. Can you just
I'll explain again. See, uniform extent means you're clear about uniform extent, right?
yes, sir.
You're clear about uniform extent. Extent means collection of 8 continuous data pages.
Yes.
Correct? Extent. The meaning of extent is collection of 8 continuous data pages, and it's a basic allocation unit. Means SQL Server will allocate an extent every time, not page. Every time it will allocate an extent for you. Okay, so is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay, so there are two types of extents. One is mixed extent, second one is uniform extent. Is this clear?
Yes.
Right. Mixed means, as discussed, in an extent 8 pages will be there. Mixed means all 8 pages you can use to create multiple tables, either one table or 2 tables or 3 tables, no issues. But maximum, if you consider, okay, as discussed about this point, page is not shareable, you can create a minimum one table on a single page. Page is not shareable, you cannot create multiple tables. Okay, one table will occupy one page. This point is clear, right?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, if it is big, it will take one more page. I'm not saying, sir, 2 terabytes of table is there, still it will occupy only one page. How come? 2 terabytes divided by 8. How many pages you will get? That many pages it will occupy. Okay, so minimum it will consume one page. So in that case, mixed extent means all the 8 pages belongs to multiple tables. Means you can create multiple tables in the mixed extent. Means all the 8 pages belongs to different tables. That is called mixed extent. So how many maximum tables I can create in a mixed extent?
8 table.
8. Is this point clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Why? Because each page is equal to one table. Okay, so 8 pages, 8 tables maximum you can create. Whereas uniform extent, the meaning of uniform extent means all the pages, all the 8 pages belongs to a single table. Now tell me how many tables I can create on a single uniform extent.
Only one. Only one.
Only one. Right? You cannot share the uniform extent with multiple tables, but whereas mixed extent you can share with multiple tables. Is this clear now, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Done.
sir. Got it.
Yes. Okay. So I just connected to the server remotely. Let me connect. So yesterday we discussed how to create a database using a GUI, how to create a database using command. Can anyone tell me what is the command to create the database?
Create
Create
database. Database.
That's it. Very simple command. Create what you are going to create. I want to create a database. What is the database name? Okay. So the database name, you can give your own database name. So whenever you create a database, how many files will be created by default?
2 files.
2 files. What are those 2 files?
LDF, MDF.
LDF file and MDF file. LDF belongs to which file group?
Log.
Log file too.
Primary file group.
Okay. LDF
Log
belongs
files also.
LDF belongs to primary file group. Are you sure?
No.
Sir,
No.
MDF belongs to primary file groups.
Very good. MDF and NDF belongs to primary file group. Okay. Data files belongs to primary file groups. What about log file? Log file belongs to which file group?
Log file do not have any file groups.
Very good. Log file, there is, as per the log file architecture, it doesn't belongs to any file groups. Okay, log file will exist individually, but data files can't exist individually. Data files will be created only in the file groups. So what is the default file group when you create the database you will get? What is the default file group name you will get when you create a database?
Primary.
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 Primary is the
Primary.
default file group name. So your MDF file is a part of which file group?
Database.
Primary.
File group.
Primary file.
File group. I asked file group. Of course, MDF is part of database only. Without MDF, there is no database. But this MDF is a part of which file group? Which file
Primary.
group? Primary.
Primary
Can I move MDF file to different file group? Is it possible?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So who said Shaheen? Shaheen, NDF files are not temporary files, Shaheen. NDF files, data files are not temporary. See, any file is not temporary. The data inside the files are temporary. Okay, don't think NDF files are temporary. Okay, small correction. Files are permanent. Okay, the data inside the files can be temporary. That too only for log files. For data files, the data will be stored permanently. Okay, so in the data file, the meaning of data file itself, it's a disk. Okay, the data will be stored in the data files permanently. Even though you restart the server, you restart the Windows machine, something happened to the server, still you can get it as the data is written to the disk. Until the disk is safe, there is a safety for your data when you store your data in the data files. Okay, so the what is the data flow, guys? From application, the data will goes to which file first?
Log files.
Log file. Very good. So once commit is done, commit means it's a control S. In the Word document, will type something and will use control S, right? It will save permanently. If you use control S, it will save permanently. Even though you restart, you can open the document, you can see the text. But you just typed 100 pages, but you didn't save one time also. What happened when you restart the laptop?
Gone.
Nothing will be
It's
there.
lost.
Okay, you are going to lose everything. No data you are going to get it. So log file is temporary purpose. Why, sir? Log file we have to maintain. It might take time to write the data to the data files. Until then, it has to store some temporary location, right? So until the data is committed permanently, the data will be stored in the log file. Once the data is committed from the log file to data file, once it was moved permanently from log file to data file, now it will be truncated from the log file, guys. Truncate means what?
Delete.
Delete. Okay, truncate means delete. Once the log file is okay, once you move the transaction from your log file to data file, once it was written to the data file permanently, safety, there is a safety for your transaction data now. So the same transaction will be truncated from the log file. That is how the log file will be recycled, guys. Now is this clear? How the log file will be recycled?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everyone, any issues, any doubts? So at any point of time, there is no permanent data stored in the log file. Whatever data is there in the log file, that is temporary data only. That too, it will store until it was moved to the data file permanently. Once it was moved to the data file permanently, the data will be truncated. Truncated means deleted, cleared from your log file. Again, some more data will come from the application. Again, your log file will store it. So based on the commit and uncommit, if the transaction is committed, again the data will be written to the data file. Once the data is written to the data file, the committed data will be truncated from the log file, guys. This is the mechanism of the log file. Now, are we good, guys? In terms of files, file groups, databases? Any questions, any doubts?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, done. Okay, so let's create table. Yesterday we discussed how to create the database. Okay, so what files will be created when you create a database and all, right? So how to write a query, how to execute a query. So these things we discussed yesterday. Okay, so today we'll discuss how to create a table, guys. How to insert the records inside the table. Okay, how to search the data, how to filter the data and all we'll discuss, guys. Okay, so let's create one table. Okay, so in the Flipkart or sales database, if I want to create any table, what I should have, guys? First,
Database.
database. The tables will be stored inside the database. Okay, so if I want to create any table, first of all I should have database. So I just created the database is ready now. So in this database I want to create one table. Okay, either Flipkart or whatever you want. Okay, you can create the table inside. As of now you don't see any table, right? Once you create a table, you can see the table entry here under this graph tables. Okay, you can see the table entry here. Chalo, I want to create a table. In which database? Decide in which database you want to create the table. In which database I want to create the table, guys? Tell me. Anything,
Flipkart.
any database,
Uh,
your wish, no issues. Tell me which database you
we
want
can
me to
create in
create the
sales,
table.
sales
Sales.
data.
Okay, chalo. We'll create in the sales. In which database we want to create the table? Okay. Open a query window from that database. Listen carefully. In which database you want to create any object? It can be a table, it can be a stored procedure, it can be a view, it can be a trigger, anything. Those are the different objects. In which database I want to create the object? Open query window from the particular database. How to open? Right click on the database, new query. Okay. So whenever you want to write something, you want to execute something, listen carefully, guys. This is very important thing. In which database you want to do the things, that is very important. You want to create the things in the sales database, make sure you open a query window from sales database. Or how to confirm? I opened a query window from sales database. Here you can see which database is highlighting. You opened a query window from the database, means whatever you are writing queries now, those queries will be executed on sales database. Whatever you are creating now in this window, those objects will be created in the sales database, guys. So I just created table in the sales database and I am searching in the table, searching the table in the Flipkart database. Is it possible? Can I see?
No.
No.
No,
You just kept your bike keys in the hall and you are searching in the bedroom. Did you get those keys? Right?
no.
So in which area you just kept it? You have to search there only. Okay, so in
Right,
which
sir, right.
database you created the table, you have to search there only. You have to pull the information from the database only. This is very important thing. Why I'm again and again repeating, guys, very important thing. By mistake, initially once we go to the company, we don't know. Sometimes customers will give you the scripts without checking on which database it was there. Simply will execute the scripts. That scripts can be creating the tables, that scripts can be deleting the tables, that scripts can be updating the tables. Instead of one table you are deleting table from another database. How much big issue it is, right? Immediately that would be the last day in that particular organization for you. So make sure whenever you are writing any query, whenever you are executing any query, make sure on which database it is executing. Especially whenever you are writing any query and whenever you are executing any query, make sure on which database. You can check here or you can check here. Okay, in these two corners you can check. Sir, I just changed my mind. I don't want to create the table in the sales. I want to create in Flipkart. Chalo, click here. You can see Flipkart database. Change the database to Flipkart. Now the Flipkart is highlighted, right? Here also Flipkart is highlighted, right? Now if you are creating any table, the tables will be created in the Flipkart database. Sir, do we have any way like query? Can I change the database here using query? Yes, there is a way. Very simple query. Use
Use
database
database
name.
name.
Okay. I want to change Flipkart to sales again. The query is use. Okay, sales. Execute the query. Click on execute button. You can see sales and the database is changed from Flipkart to sales. Flipkart to sales here. This is GUI way of changing the database, and this is query way of changing the database, guys. Are we good?
Yes.
Very simple commands. Okay, commands are very simple and very easy. Like how we are talking, in the same way the commands will be there. Right, chalo. I want to create a data table now. Okay, so sir, tell me, guys, before
So
creating
here
the table.
sometimes
Yes,
they are
please.
using Go also after use
Sorry.
this new.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
Hmm.
they are using database name after that Go. Go is
Yes,
compulsory
it
or
will. It is continuation. That's it. It's not compulsory. Okay,
okay.
use Flipkart. Okay, you will get the suggestion and go means it's a link. That's it. Means after this execution, go to another database execution. Okay, use sales. Now see here, or master. Let me change it to master. Now if I execute all the things. Now tell me, first it will go to Flipkart, then it will be changed to master. Why? Because after Flipkart you are giving a link. So the next query will be, it will be changed to master database. Why? Because I have master database also. You can see second one. I don't change it now. I'll execute the query. Okay. So even though there is no go also, it will execute. Let me execute first with go. Okay. Now at the end of the day you can see master database. Let me remove this go and let me execute again. This time I'll change the databases, otherwise you don't see the difference. This is the main problem with the internet. Okay, so this time I'll change the database. Only to show you the difference, I'm changing the databases. Okay. Okay, so this time I'll remove the go. Okay, I'll execute. Now still it was executed. So go is not mandatory. See, here there are two lines. If you don't select any line, it will execute all the commands that is there in this window. This is a query, guys. This is query window, and this is output window, guys. Okay, this is query window, and this is output window, and this is object explorer. This area is called object explorer, where you can see the connected servers. This area is called query window, where you can run the queries. This area is called output window. Whenever you run the queries, you can see the output in the output window. If you don't highlight any line, it will execute all the commands. No, I want only one line to execute. Highlight it, execute it, then that particular line will be executed. If you don't highlight, now check it. Okay, what would be the database name after execution of these commands, guys? I don't highlight any line. What would be the database name here?
Flipkart.
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 Let me execute. I'm using alt text, guys. You don't see execute button here. I'm using alt text keyboard shortcut. Now it was changed to Flipkart. So if you don't highlight any line, it will execute all the commands in the particular query window. If you want a specific line to execute, select here. Just keep your cursor here. Your cursor position will be changed. Just click once, automatically the whole line will be highlighted. People usually, okay, will highlight like this. If it is very big line, it will cross. Sometimes it will cross this one. Like that, till how much point you are going to, okay, select it. Okay, but the easiest way is just keep your cursor at the beginning of the line. The cursor shape will be, I mean, like the direction will be changed. Just click once, automatically the whole line will be executed, I mean, like selected. Then you can click on execute button.
Or it's shift and go.
Of
Also
course,
use.
that's as per your comfort. Okay, I'm going to use shift down arrow. Okay, down arrow, usually what happened, if you have another line, shift down arrow will help you. Okay, to select it, the whole line. Okay, shift down arrow. That is the keyboard shortcut. Okay, guys, are we good now? So, what is the very important thing while executing the scripts? What is the important thing while executing the scripts? Database. On which database? On which database I'm executing this? If it is a select query, no issues. If the table exists, you will get the results. But it's an update query, delete query, okay, insert query, which will create lot of issues. So very important thing, write it somewhere, keep it asterisk or star marks, okay, highlight these things. And again, I'm saying whenever you are executing the query, Make sure on which database you're executing. Before clicking on execute button, just have a look on this database. Here both you can see side by side. Before clicking on this, okay, on which database I'm executing. Still, not only you, experienced people, sometimes I will also do mistakes. Will execute one command in another database, which will lot of impact will be there, guys. Of course, we can manage the things later, but initially, if you do those mistakes, no one will, okay, forgive, guys. So be careful before executing the queries. On which database you are executing the query, it is very important. Chalo. Now I am giving you one exercise. Not exercise, just I am asking you one question. I want to create a student table, guys. Tell me what and all things you are going to, you are managing one school. You want to create a table to track all the students, okay, information. Now tell me what and all columns you are going to include. What kind of information you are going to track it? What kind of information you will track from the students?
The roll number.
Someone is trying to
Roll
talk, but
number.
it's completely breaking.
So roll number.
Very good. Roll number.
Class.
Okay.
First
So
name, last name,
Name.
roll number, name,
Name. Class.
class,
age,
age,
Date
very
of
good.
birth.
Date of birth,
address,
very good.
address,
Gender, very good.
Percentage.
Percentage, very good.
Place.
Place, very good. Next,
Subjects.
subjects, okay, very good. Subjects. Next, what not
Father name.
everything you can include. Father name, excellent.
phone
Everything you
number,
can include. Phone number, okay, super. Nowadays, teachers are sending SMS, right? Phone number. So, phone number is very important that you are going to the school or going to the movie with girlfriend. So, it's very important. Okay, right. Next, mail ID, very good, super. Okay, mail ID. Next, okay, let me reconnect, guys. It is showing 1 minute. Let me reconnect.